Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the show that shares everything with you that should be discussed before saying I do. This is Before I Do. We are here to help facilitate courageous conversations on dating and relationships. So whether you are dating, in a relationship, want to be in a relationship, don't know if you want to be married, engaged, we are here as your Couples Academy practitioners to usher you into these courageous discussions.
To usher.
To usher you into these courageous discussions.
Yes. And so this show is meant to be interactive, and we're talking about a great topic tonight. So when we pose the speak now, forever hold your peace question, do not hold your peace. All right, pour it out. All right, let us know and share with us your ideas, thoughts, and or experiences, and we are here to support.
And speaking of that, we do have some individuals who have some manners. Laquita says, good evening.
Hey.
When you come in somebody's house, when you come on somebody's show, you always want to give greetings. So good evening, Quita B. And so anyone else, if you want to say hello, please be sure to do so or share your comment or question in the chat area. As Charmaine mentioned, tonight we are continuing on with part 2 of our conversation regarding forgiveness in relationships. And tonight we are actually going to be covering a very important component when we talk about forgiveness and challenges that rear themselves in a relationship. And you had a very interesting title for this particular area, and so we and it's something that may scare a couple people when we talk about it. So what is a forgiveness credit score?
Okay, so let me go ahead and school our family out there. Okay, so the forgiveness credit card, credit score. I call it that because, to be honest, when it comes to your family, so this is the family and we're gonna, in part 2, we're specifically talking about family tonight, right? Your forgiveness credit score. So now when it comes to family, all right, and every family is different, but in most families, especially if you're in a romantic relationship, we encourage our clients and just even family and friends, be careful, even our own daughter, right? You know, when you're dating someone, be very careful about when they mess up or have a misstep or they have some kind of flaw or you guys have some kind of conflict or disagreement. Be very careful about letting your family members know that, because they have a perfect credit score coming into the relationship, right? Because the family, they don't know nothing about them, right? So, you know, you got a perfect credit score. But a lot of times with some people, and every person is different, but a lot of times with families, they'll start with a perfect credit score because we don't know you. Every misstep, every conflict, every behavior, action, something that was disrespectful to your family, that credit score drops. Okay. And it doesn't climb back up there easy. It might take years for this person to recover. And so the forgiveness credit score with family, it might be very different, but you were born in your family, right? So you can have a misstep, you can, and guess what? You can recover that with your family. Family tends to have a bigger pool of grace, a bigger pool of, okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to give you room to grow, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to experience forgiveness. And so what I call a forgiveness credit score is very different. But when it comes to family, a lot of times your partner, your spouse, you don't want to go and telling your family everything that every time your partner has a misstep, because it really impedes the ability for them to really be able to recover. You done got over it. You recover. Y'all kissing, y'all in love, going out dating, and your family over there still giving them the side eye when you bring them around during holidays.
Absolutely. And so just to make sure, again, we're all on the same page when we talk about forgiveness. As a definition, forgiveness is an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger, removing all disdain you have towards someone and or a specific situations. So when we talk about including individuals in some of the things that are going on in our relationship, some of the challenges and even some of the good things that may be happening when it comes to our partners, it is important to remember that while we may forgive them and we may move on, we do need to be concerned about the residual effects of how the individuals who are in our family that now have that privileged information, how are they going to now entreat that individual? How are they going to move forward in that? So that it really encourages us to be really mindful of how much we share with our family. And that actually rolls right into our speak now question of the night, which is, how much information do you share with your family regarding your romantic relationships? Is there anyone that you specifically confide in within your family, and why did you choose them, or why do you choose to confide in them? So for me, right, I will say that my brother, before he passed away, he was one of the people that we could talk about anything. Like he was one of those people that he was trustworthy. He gave good advice, but he was also someone that he didn't believe in sharing outside of just the two of us. So I didn't have to worry about him going back to anyone else. He would be honest if he didn't know something, and he would be honest if he shared information that was really just based off of his feelings. But I did learn as well that because he and I had two different ways that we went about navigating relationships, I did have to be very careful about the things that I shared with him, because some of the things that I chose to do and handle in my relationships, he would handle in a totally different way. And so I learned that I had to be very careful about some of the information that I took to him and how I processed some of his advice.
Got it.
Anybody for you?
Oh man, I think I don't know. You know what? I was gonna say, well, my brother, but you know, my brother closest in age to me, my brother Jay, I share a different relationship, but you know, not really, because my brother Jay, he be done whooped somebody, you know. So I think intellectual, like we shared more. Okay, this is the dilemma I have, and we went to each other for problem solving and solutions. But like my brother would never tell me about somebody specifically, because I don't know, maybe we had anger issues, because he know I want to beat him up, and vice versa. So if anything, I think we shared more like conflict, and we helped each other to build and develop solutions. But yeah, no, I think I've always outsourced a lot of my relationship issues
to more friends.
So it was
more of your friends than it was your
because
family.
My family, they kind of, I don't know, they can be kind of mafia like. They get mad at you, and it's a life sentence. So now my family's they're definitely lovable, forgiving people, but yeah, they don't play about us. So you know, I think I was always careful, because I know certain things, you know, about other people's relationships, and it requires a very mature person, you know, not to hold that person hostage for behavior and or those experiences. Because a lot of us, let's be honest, a lot of us are immature. So imagine if I judge you based on all of your missteps during those years where you just weren't really mature in those areas.
Yeah, and I think you bring a really good point as well, is especially with our family and our friends, knowing their triggers. So knowing again what things you could share with them that you may have need to be careful of, so you didn't trigger them, understanding that they couldn't give you unbiased advice because of their experience with that particular situation. So that's a really important part of some of the things that we're going to get into tonight as it relates to families sometimes inability to be unbiased, families sometimes and them not being able to move past their triggers. So once again, our Speak Now question of the night: how much information do you share with your family regarding your romantic relationships or individuals that you're dating? Is there anyone that you specifically confide in your family? And if so, why them? We're going to be sure to put your comments in the chat. We are going to take a really brief commercial break, and we will be right back with more before I do.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Before I Do. Tonight, we are talking about part 2 of Should I Forgive Them? But we are focused on the family component. And so Quita says, I had to learn how to have different conversations with different people. Ring the bell.
You better say that again.
That is really important. Again, it's really critical to understand who you can talk to about what, because you may not be able to talk to everyone about everything.
That's right.
And so that is an exercise of maturity on your part and learning how to be discerning in who you can share what information with. Then she also talked about the family triggers. So again, that's a really important part of making sure that you are having the right analysis of what family member you're sharing what information with, based on, again, some of the experiences and things that they might have walked through.
Let me tell you, I have gotten the side eye by several of my mentees for saying this, right? You know, they'll be like, well, my dad said, or my mom said, and I say, pump the brakes. First of all, have they themselves walked through their healing journey in this area?
No doubt.
And they'll be like, well, no, exactly. So they are not qualified to give you advice in an area where they haven't done the work.
And that's a really important point too, that
be
careful of individuals who give advice from a wound rather than a scar.
Say that again, baby.
Be careful of individuals who give advice from a wound rather than a scar. When a person is giving advice from a wound, that is something that they are still yet dealing with.
Yes.
And yes, it is painful, it's fresh, but they're not always going to be able to give really sound advice because they're still walking through it and dealing with it themselves. Now, a scar means that it's already healed.
Yes.
Now, and it is a reminder, and they're able to better extract the lessons from that experience.
Yes.
And so be very careful of individuals that give you advice from a wound rather than a scar.
I love that, because the scar is symbolic that they've gone through it. They have come out on the other side. And if they can smile, if they can still even encourage, if they still have gotten to a place where they've gone through that entire grief cycle, right? And they have gotten to a place of acceptance and even hope, man, then yeah, that's the person you take advice from, because they've gone through the journey and they've come out better on the other side. Now, not people who they got the scar, but they bitter, but they come out better. And so, yeah, these are the individuals you want to entrust and to go to. Sometimes I think we just yield that advice and that wisdom to certain members in our family because of their age,
right,
or because of their role and title in our lives, or you're my mom and you're supposed to have good advice,
or because we like them. Just because you like someone or you love someone, or because they are close to you in age, different things like that. You have to be careful of allowing those kind of prerequisites to serve as they can handle this information. That may not always necessarily be the case. So you have to really make sure that you're vetting that information first, relative to, again, the individual that you're looking at potentially sharing it with, to ensure that they're able to handle it. So we want to get into 4 quick things that you'll want to be mindful of when you think about, again, sharing information with family regarding your relationship and what you all are walking through. All right. So tip number 1, you want to determine whether it is a you issue, a them issue, or a we issue. I'm going to say that again. You see it on your screen. Is it a you issue? Is it a them issue? Or is it a we issue? So when you're having a conversation with your family member, right, are you talking to them about a relationship issue that pretty much exclusively involves you and your perspective about some of the things and challenges that you may be having in a relationship? Or is it a them issue? Maybe, for example, they have a hygiene problem, and so that is a them issue. That is hey, this person has a hygiene problem. Is that something that you really want to spread to your family member and share that information with them? Or maybe your partner is walking through a medical issue. Do you want to share that information? Have you been released to share that information with your family? Because again, that's not even necessarily a we issue. That's a them issue. That's an individual challenge that they've actually confided in you about, and it can violate and breach your trust if you do that. And sharing something before they may be ready to share it. And then you have a we issue. Now, those are the issues that are specifically about the dynamics within your relationship. And so even then, you want to be very careful of how you share that information to ensure that it's not just one-sided. Oftentimes, individuals will go to certain people in their family, not because they're looking for advice, but they're looking for agreement. They're looking for enablement. They're looking for somebody to tell them that they're right. They're looking for somebody to help them in their victimization. And so it's very important, again, that you establish before you have conversations with family. Is it a you issue? Is it a them issue, or is it a we issue?
Absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes with family members, you definitely have to be careful about just going to them because, for example, I could remember when we had clients who what if your family members are counselors, right? Or they're pastors, or they're people who they help everyone else. So why can't they help me? So can you talk about that? Would you counsel your own child, or would you counsel your own friends? I mean, there is this understanding in the world of counseling, therapy, all of that. Yeah, you don't counsel your family, you don't counsel your friends. There is a clear conflict of interest.
Absolutely.
Right? And so because you're going there may be, that conflict of interest can cause you to not necessarily operate the same way that you would if it was a non-family member.
And as practitioners, just so you know, absolutely not. I would not. Now, what I will say, though, is that I will absolutely advocate and help that person find the right individual to counsel them. We are big proponents, obviously, of counseling. And so we are not one of those people that, well, if you can't get it from us, then, you on your own. No, we want to make sure and help you find the right individuals that are going to be able to walk with you through the issues that you're having. But absolutely not. My daughter already knows that when she decides to get married, we can't do her premarital counseling. I'm your daddy. I'm an ordained minister. I'm a counselor, and I love you. And I trust myself to be unbiased, but I don't even want there to be a implication of bias based on my input, because again, in that situation, it's not just my daughter, but it's the individual that she's going to be married as well. And I want them to have a good comfort level to ensure that they're getting good, biased, godly counsel from somebody that they can trust.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's a very powerful thing. Sometimes we feel like we may not be biased, but the bottom line is, if you're counseling your own daughter through premarital counseling, it says, well, how do I handle if he hits me? I mean, I'm sorry. Counselor hat coming on, Mama Bear and Daddy hat coming on, right? So we want to be honest about those things. You may think that that the lines don't get blurry. They do, right? And so when you do find yourself giving advice, even if you are, a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist, whatever, it's better to just help that family member expand their thinking so that they can make an informed decision. Like, you're not trying to guide them to the left, to the right. Either way, you're just trying to get them more information. And so number 2 tip, here we go. Number 2 is to make sure that you're aware of your family's feedback, because again, it could be biased. These are the blind spots, right? Again, we talked about it a little bit earlier. If you share something with a family member, right, and maybe it is so similar, maybe they went through this very same thing themselves over and over again, right? They may give you advice, but it takes a very mature person to give you, advice that really broadens your perspective. It provides you a variety of different options, and it helps you to come to your own decision without them making it about them, or without it having the residue of their relationship and what they went through, right? And so sometimes their advice, if it's biased, it can come off as, it may sound like advice, but it really at the root of that advice, the concern is that it may be fear. Fear may be the root. And so you can't trust the roots of that biased feedback. And so, because really, let's be honest, family, a lot of times, the root of their agenda is you.
And if
They
family,
prioritize you.
yeah, exactly. And I was just gonna say, if family is really family, then they are team your name.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna side with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so even with some of the advice that they are giving, it is going to be advice that is going to be in your favor. And also too, they may be reluctant to really share areas where you may need to improve, or an area where you may be wrong. And so you got to, and so a good safeguard for that is to really empower your family members that, listen, I need you to tell me the truth. Like I'm trusting you that if it's me, tell me it's me. And so that can often serve as a really great comfort level, allowing your family get to a comfort level where they can be honest with you in regard to it.
Yeah. And let's be honest, I want to put this out there. If you are that family member that everybody runs to you and tells you all of their business, let's be honest. Sometimes when you are in their presence, right, you literally, especially if you're highly visual, sometimes you're having to, you go through this time warps where you're literally seeing some of the behavior, the misbehavior, the non-behavior, and you have to be a very mature person, right? Not to allow those things to cloud your interactions or to really taint that experience, because you love your sister, you love your brother, you love your family members. But the reality of it is it takes a mature person, and everyone is not really trained to be able to do that. Absolutely.
We got a couple of comments that I definitely want to jump into, and I love the variation of these. So Miss Patrice says, I don't share with my family at all. I have 3 mature seasoned sisters that can give me godly counsel and prayers, fellow ministry ministers who also are my sisters. And on the flip side of that, Laquita says, I confide in my baby sister.
Aww.
I'm mindful of what I tell my mother because she is very opinionated, but I do love my mother. And I love that last sentence, because again, just because I don't necessarily share everything with my mother doesn't mean that I don't love her. And that's an important point to make sure that you reiterate to your family members, because when you have individuals who, like for example, Laquita, with your sister and your mother, if your mother finds out you told your sister something that you didn't tell her, she may feel some type of way about it. And so, and that should not put pressure on you to then, well, I got to tell my mama everything that I tell my sister. No, but it's making sure that you stand firm in the fact that, hey, there are certain things that I share with you. There are certain things that I share with my sister. And that's just the way that I want to run things. And so that's a really important part of helping to manage your relationships and to also reinforce boundaries.
Come on.
We talked about boundaries a few weeks ago, right? And so that's a really important point in being able to reinforce those boundaries. All right, so tip number 3. Now, this is a big one. When we talk about sharing information about what's going on in our dating and in our relationships, this is not just about our family, but this is about anybody that we may look to outside of our relationship for counsel. Don't compromise your individual resilience. Oftentimes, challenges are going to come up in your relationship to really test you in being able to help you with your problem solving, to help you to be able to decide in your mind exactly what you want to do, what direction you want to go in. And so you have to be careful in constantly deferring to other people to where the voices outside of your relationship are louder than your own. And so part of being in a relationship, right, is it helps you to really discover who you are and what you want.
And let's clarify resilience. What is resilience, right?
Yeah. So resilience is it's endurance.
Right. It's your ability
to withstand and to stand firm in exactly what it is that you are purposing to do. So again,
when hardship happens, when trouble comes, your ability to really
stand firm,
get through it, you'll take a stand and you will continue. You will go through the process.
Yeah, because the bottom line is, right, in your relationship, no one is really going to fully understand why you are with that person like you. There are going to be things often about your relationship where people are going to take a step back and like, I don't know why she with him, or I don't know why he's with her. But it's not. But there are things that not everybody is going to be able to see. And if you allow, again, those outside voices to get louder than your own, now you may be running somebody away that is good for you, but because other people don't see what you see, you're allowing your decision to be predicated on other people's opinion. So it's really important that you not allow, don't seek good, godly, wise counsel. Absolutely you do. You want to make sure you have confidence in individuals that are going to steer you right, but you want to be careful that, again, you are not just basing your decisions solely on the words of other people.
And again, all counsel, especially God counsel, ain't necessarily from God.
And so here's the thing too, right?
Vet people who saying they heard from God.
So and here's the thing, right? Especially for those of us who are believers, and when we talk about God, do you really think that God would want somebody else's voice to be louder than his?
Come on.
Do you really think that God would want you to prioritize somebody else's voice over his? And so, again, it's an opportunity for us to be able to grow in being able to hear from God, if you're spiritual, but also learning how to trust ourselves. And so, again, not every issue we're even going to be able to take out of the relationship, because some things are really for our benefit, for us to be able to learn how to walk through it ourselves.
Woo, you said a mouthful right there. All right, we ready for the fourth tip?
Yes, indeed.
All right, so external noise. Oh my goodness. External noise can cause internal chaos, right? I mean, I think we all have gone through this where you were you were upset, you were sad, whatever emotion was being expressed at the time, you just had to get it out, right? You had to get it out. I mean, you would call and talk to anybody that would listen, okay? If your dog was right there, you would talk to the dog until you got a human being, right? And so that external noise can cause internal chaos. So now you shared your business with 4, 5, 6 of your friends or family members, and now it's causing internal chaos because you are now being flooded by their voices. You're being flooded by this friend said this, but no, this friend said this. So you have audited all of these different people with all of these different experiences. You did not, again, especially godly people. We see this a lot. Where did you pray about it first, right? Because if you pray about it, I'm going to tell you, God will tell you who to call. I mean, strategically who to call, right? And that person will give you a good word and a word that's going to confirm what God said. Okay. And so you will get confirmation of it. But when you call 5, 6 different random people, the first people who picked up their phone, the first person who responded to your text, and now you have shared all of the stories with all of these people, and now they all come back with some different information, and now you're confused, right? But you wouldn't have been confused if you were strategic in who you shared it with, and that this person listens more than they talk. And so again, you just want to make sure it's not weakening your confidence in who the source of your power, your being is. You want to make sure that you're gaining confidence in the quiet. Sometimes you got to get quiet, right? And you can kind of build a sense of, okay, what should I do next? What should I not do? Maybe I need to be still and have peace right now in this moment. Maybe I need to audit. Is this, again, go back to step 1. It goes back to step 1. Is this a me situation? Is this a we situation? Or is this a they situation? Sometimes it's a you situation, but because you call 8 of your friends, oh no, well they should, and they're going to blame it on your partner. And you didn't take the time to give yourself that 24-hour timeout to really say, you know what? No, my partner usually doesn't behave like that. So maybe I came at them the wrong way. Maybe my tone was this or that. So again, this process of forgiveness is really important. But when it comes to family, yes, that external noise can cause that internal chaos, especially if you're expecting them to help you solve all of your issues.
Yeah, and you said something a number of years ago that I really have appreciated, and I want to give a shout out to all of the friends that you've had over the years. I could call names. I don't want to, but the women in your life that have the individuals in her life, right, and the individuals in your life. they should turn you back to God and back to your relationship. Hey. So if they are truly about you, if they are truly about good, sound advice, they are going to turn you back to God, and they're going to turn you back to your relationship.
I'm big in that. Yeah. If I'm talking to one of my friends, all of my friends, they have been consistent. They point me back to God.
Right.
First of all, what did God tell you? Right. They're going to hold me account to that, and they're going to point me back to my relationship. Right. Because they know, like, but you got that friend that was like, well, you don't need him. You know, he not a good husband anyway. You need to do what? Right.
Yeah.
What? You know, so yeah, we want to be mindful about individuals who are pointing you away from your foundation, right? And pointing you away from your relationship. So, you know, be mindful of that. If you're sharing relationship issues, it definitely should be with people who are what? Friends to the relationship.
Absolutely.
If your mama, daddy, sister, cousin, if they're not a friend to your relationship, they're not even qualified to give you advice, because that they're biased. They're not gonna point you back in that direction. And of course, we're speaking to healthy relationships, right?
Absolutely.
Family members don't want you to be, they're not going to point you back to a harmful relationship, right? And so that's why you want to be mindful of what you do tell them. But there is protection and there is safety, right? And knowing that you can count on your family members if you do find yourself in a really bad relationship. You know, your family loves you, cares about you, protects you, you know, and so they don't want to see most family members do not want to see you in pain.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, hopefully you all enjoyed the show tonight. This was absolutely phenomenal. I enjoyed it. And so everyone, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and better yet, reach out to us for a session. Yes. We would love to partner with you in your individual and collective journey. If you're in a relationship, please be sure to reach out to us, especially if you all are interested in getting married. We're excited to launch SYNTHESIZE, which is a premarital counseling experience, not just a course, but it's a premarital counseling experience. We cover everything from finances, sex and intimacy, communication, all of the top things that oftentimes lead to divorce. We are tackling them head on to help build your resilience within your marriage and in your relationship. So on behalf of Couples Academy, my name is Walter Jennings.
My name is Charmaine Jennings.
And we hope to see y'all next week on another edition of Before I Do. Good night, everybody.
What is the best gift or investment for a newly engaged couple?
What do couples really need? Proactive, transparent synergy. They need to synthesize. A 12-week premarital group counseling experience that combines the mind, heart, mission, and vision for an effective future.
No matter the age or life experience, this research-based curriculum will help to increase marriage resilience by 30%. Why choose SYNTHESIZE for premarital counseling? 1, to better understand yourself and your partner, and to audit your past and present condition in order to be a proactive couple.
2, to engage in crucial conversations about finances, communication, sex, and intimacy, to be fully and completely transparent.
3, to develop a unified vision and mission in order to embody high levels of synergy.
Give the gift that builds proactive, transparent synergy. SYNTHESIZE.